Everyone seems to be in a race to the bottom when it comes to print-on-demand pricing. If you're new to that phrase, race to the bottom basically means that everyone is trying to price so low because they think it's going to bring in an influx in sales. This is really a lie, and we're going to talk about that in this video because I want you to win by utilizing print-on-demand and all of its opportunities. Section 1 is understanding all of your costs, mainly your production costs. Your total costs include your production fees, printing fees, any digitization fees, and additional printing fees if you are going to place your design, for example, on the front and the back, because that is an extra cost. Now, platforms like Printify or Printful actually do a pretty good job of laying this all out before you so that you have all of that data and you can start to formulate the best possible price for your product. So let's create an example, and I'll use round numbers so that we can easily kind of add or decrease based on what we need to factor in. Let's say that the base production cost of a t-shirt is $12. That is what it's going to cost them to create this shirt and send it out. And this generally means the design is in one place. So that base cost, that $12, is what you will start designing to put your design on one place on the shirt for that $12 price. Now, I want to add an additional place for this design. I want it to be on the back. So I want it to be on the front and the back. Maybe they're two different designs. Now, I know in Printful that this is $5.95. Again, let's use round numbers. Let's say it's $6 to have this design in a second place on your shirt. I'm not doing any embroidery, so there's no digitization fee that I have to worry about. For shipping, I know that where I live, it's gonna be $5 or somewhere between $4.90 to $5.30. Look, we're gonna say it's $5. So if I add all of that up, that means that we are at $23 in production cost so far. And at this point, you may be thinking already, oh my gosh, that's so much, $23 already. How would I even make any money? Because that's essentially where I would want to price the item. Now, don't forget, you have this design in two places. You could easily take off that $5 for the back fee or $6 for the back fee and just have it on one place. Now, we're gonna get there. I'm gonna explain how you would be able to price this product so that you would make profit based off of it. But right now, we're going to utilize this same example through each section, so let's move on. So section 2 is deciding your profit margin. So the profit that you want to make is a percentage of money that is on top of the production cost. Essentially, you're going to add money to this so that you can gain a profit. If in our $23 shirt example, you listed it for $23, you would make zero money because all of that money is going to the Printful or Printify or whatever you are using. And here is where value-based pricing needs to come into play. And I mean overall value, the shirt plus the design, all as one package. Now, in terms of profit margin, what you've probably heard is to aim somewhere between 30 and 50% profit margin. So that's what you would want to figure out and add to that initial production cost so that you can make money. But there's no hard and fast rule on this here. And depending on the type of product, the actual physical thing, whether it's a shirt or mug or whatever, there's going to be a different perceived value for that and how you're going to use that product. Some people may pay more for one specific type of product versus something entirely different. But for the moment, let's come back to our shirt-based example. Let's say that we've decided through some market research, which we're going to get to in the next section, is somewhere around 30%. That's what we want. We want 30% profit margin that we are going to make off of this shirt. So 30% of our $23 is about $7. Remember, we're using round numbers. I want it to be easy for you. $7 profit, that's what we're aiming to make, which brings our total listing price to $30. To make $7, we would need to list this product for $30 or $25 plus the customer purchasing the shipping. For example, if you're selling on Etsy, you can decide what is most beneficial or perhaps experiment. Do I list it for $30 with free shipping, or do I list it for $25 and let that $4.99 or that $5 shipping be included in what the customer is going to pay? And I know that there are Etsy seller fees and listing fees and all that stuff. We're gonna get there, but for right now, let's keep the example clean and move forward. So section 3 is researching the market. Perhaps one of the most vital and important important sections when it comes to learning and deciding how to price your product. What you need to do is go and research on the places that you're wanting to sell, whether it's one place or many, and look at other sellers, your competitors, and very successful shops to see where they're pricing listings, their products, their shirts, whatever, because what that is going to do is tell you what people are willing to pay for, what they are willing to spend to get the item that they want. Let's continue with our shirt analogy, which at this moment we're up to $30. We need $30 to make a $7 profit. But let's say that upon doing some research, you find that there are sellers selling a similar shirt or a design actually selling for $32 instead of $30. Maybe some are also selling a little below at $28, and maybe on the high side some are $35 or $36. So we have this spectrum of somewhere between $28 to $36 for a shirt that has a design both on the front and the back, or perhaps the front and a sleeve, or whatever you want, that is somewhere in between that range. And we know that this is successful because these shops have sales, they have reviews, they have a 4 or 5 star rating. So we know that this price ratio works. And for the purpose of this example and this analogy, we're going to go in the happy medium, which is 32. So we've found that that number is around $32. I think that's not too high, that's not too low. It's a good place for me to sell my shirt. And of course, remember your shipping cost. So if you just increase or decrease shipping costs, so if it's 32, you would decrease shipping costs, put that shirt at 28 and make sure that that shipping cost is there. You see my point here. Regardless, we are wanting $32 to come into the account. Please remember, do not fall into the trap of pricing your shirt so low because you think people are going to purchase more than the people that are pricing their sales too high. If successful sellers have hundreds or even thousands of reviews on a product for that price, that means that people are willing to pay that much money for that specific product. Now on this, I'm reminded of my Coffee with Kittl with Luna, which I'll link here for you to check out. What she said that I thought was so valuable that I want you all to understand is that you shouldn't deprive someone the ability to pay more for something if they want to, if they can, if they will do it, right? So if there are people that are willing to pay a certain price for a product or a shirt or a design, then why would we take that ability away or be too afraid that perhaps pricing too high will yield no sales, giving people no chance to pay more money for the design that you worked hard on? Lower is not always better, and it's certainly not sustainable. If someone is selling a t-shirt design similar to you, for example, but pricing severely low, yes, maybe they'll make 3 or 4 sales per day, but perhaps they're only making $2 profit on that sale. So if they made 3 sales, that's still only $6 profit. You might sell your shirt in the middle threshold and make $5 profit on your shirt and only sell 2 a day. You're still at $10 profit, where the person that sold 3 shirts is still only at $6. And then perhaps there are a higher tier or a higher level shop that is selling for $10 profit, but perhaps they only make 1 sale a day. Well, you're still closer to them because you were a little bit lower priced, but you sold 2 shirts, so that profit is 10. They sold 1 shirt, so their profit is 10. And the seller that has their shirt priced so low is only making $2 profit. They sold 3 shirts for 6, or maybe they sold 4, still for only 8. So think about this as you start to list and price your products. Section 4 is what I'm calling discount methodology, because discounts and sales are always a powerful tactic. And I'm not sure if you realize this or not, but retail and department stores use discount psychology to increase sales. This trick can make people believe that they are getting a really, really good deal on a product. Now, I know this to be true, not only because of friends that I have that work in that industry and retail and department, but because I have price watched a jacket, for example, at Kohl's. And I have watched this for several months to go in during a holiday sales event, only to find that the sale price on that jacket is the exact same price that it was 3 months ago. So what these sellers will do, or these shops or these retail stores will do, is increase the retail price of that item and then discount it so that it goes back down to what the actual retail value of that jacket is. This video is not to judge whether that's right or wrong or smart or silly. In the end, it is up to you or the consumer to decide how much they really want that jacket. But what this does tell us is that discounts and sales are powerful. They just are. You will always jump at the opportunity to pay less for something that you have a perceived value of. Sales evoke an emotional response to action because the reality is that sale will end and the price will go back to being higher. And given that you have a sale on that item may inspire an additional item to be sold as well as a bundle or something like that, depending on how long your sale might last. So back to our analogy. We've decided that this double-sided shirt design is valued around $32. But there is some room to play here because our 30% profit margin we decided on means that we want $7 in profit. Because we've placed it at $32, we've bumped that to $9 profit currently. But what you can do is find the percentage and mark that shirt back down to $30 or even something better like $28 for a limited time, where the goal is to just be slightly lower than the threshold of the prices that you see online, but still keeping that same retail price visible for all to see. Or perhaps you go with the previous hack I described and price your item up and then discount it back to that $32 price. You can and should experiment with this to see which of those tactics is going to bring you the most amount of sales, perhaps in the shortest amount of time. Now, there's a lot more that goes into this discount or sales methodology because there are other tactics you can use like email marketing, or if you have an email list, for example, sending out discounts versus running something like a sale. There is some differentiation there. Of course, perhaps discounts might be applied to your entire store, perhaps one item, but it can also evoke the purchasing of an additional price. So we'll get into that perhaps in another video, but for now we're going to go to section 5, which is the additional fees, taxes, and processing costs, which I'm sure has been on your mind so far. Oh, what about these Etsy fees? What about website fees? Let's tackle it together and let's input all of those into our t-shirt analogy. Here's the thing, there are so many ways that you can go about selling print-on-demand products, and these fees are going to look different depending on what route you want to go. You could sell on something like Shopify, Etsy, or you could become an Amazon seller and have a seller central account, or you could use any other web hosting platform to create a shop and sell your product. Shopify, for example, is a dedicated website that you pay a monthly subscription for so that you can create your own custom shop, and then you can essentially send your products, your apparel, your whatever from Printful or Printify to the Shopify site so that when someone orders from the Shopify site, that order goes to Printful or Printify or what have you, and then it goes directly to the customer, all while looking like it is your online store. But Shopify charges a $29 monthly subscription fee, or a little less if you go with a yearly plan, and there is a 2.9% credit card charge for each transaction that happens that is going to go directly to Shopify when an order is placed, plus 30 cents for each order. Why? I have absolutely no idea, but it is the 2.9% plus that 30 cents per order. Now, you could use any other web provider I mentioned, like maybe Squarespace, which is a $23 a month hosting fee plus a 3% credit card transaction fee. So whatever you decide to do in the host your own shop method, you need to go ahead and plan for a subscription fee and a transaction fee for each purchase. Before I go on to Etsy, which I'm sure a lot of you may use, let's go ahead and break down our t-shirt example using Shopify. We decided that we're either going to sell our shirt for $25 plus the shipping to be paid by the customer, or charging $30 with free shipping. Either way, we need to make $30 to get the $7 profit of our 30% profit margin. So let's take the $30, find out what 2.9% is, which is 87 cents. Then we add our 30 because there is the 30 cent charge to that for Shopify, for a total of $1.17. $0.97. Now that would go to Shopify each time someone purchases your $30 shirt, leaving you with $28.83, minus all of your production costs, which brings you to a total profit of $5.83. So from here, you have to decide. I'm good with that profit and say, that's fine with me, or you say, no, I really want that extra dollar, so I'm gonna make 30 become $31.99 or 32, or if you're doing a discount, 33. It's all up to you. And there are taxes. Now, these can look different by state, these can look different by locations around the world, but you cannot forget tax cost, however little it may be. For example, it's $1.20 for where I am for a $30 shirt. So you need to collect that, or at least factor that in to the sale price of your t-shirt. And we cannot forget the subscription fee for Shopify of $29 a month. And I know it's getting a little intense. There's a lot of costs here, but rather than try to break down this cost per month for the subscription into your product price, which I think would get quite messy, I would just figure out how many sales you need to make to warrant this Shopify subscription. So if you're making around $6 profit for your t-shirt design, you need to sell at least 5 t-shirts to warrant that $29 a month subscription, or to cover that $29 subscription price. That's before you actually see any profit at all. I know that that's a lot to take in, but remember, some months are going to be better than others. There are sales you can run, which we talked about in the previous section. There are holiday designs that you can create for products which may inspire more sales. And there's a lot of marketing opportunity that you can utilize with Shopify. And we haven't even talked about social media and things like that. Just understand that there are upfront costs to this print-on-demand endeavor if that's the route that you want to take, that you need to be okay with. Personally, I use Squarespace for one of my print-on-demand shops, and I eat all of the subscription cost, all of that upfront. I don't even think about it. I don't even utilize that in my profit margin for selling shirts, because I just know that that's something I have to pay for to get in the game. I have to pay for the website, I have to pay for the hosting to the domain. All of that is just over here as its own cost, so that I can just focus on selling shirts, and I just know that it's a yearly cost that I'm going to pay for Squarespace. Or we can go the Etsy route, which is a pseudo dedicated shop, because you are on the Etsy marketplace, but you do have your own branded page and your branded shop with a name and so forth. So what does it cost to sell on Etsy? Well, Etsy has a 20-cent listing fee, which I'm sure you're familiar with, for each product. Now, I think there's some confusion here sometimes. It is not 20 cents per month per listing. That would be insane. It is 20 cents for a 4-month period. This is coming straight from their renewal section on their page. You can see right here. It is 20 cents for every 4-month period for that product if you wish to renew it, which you don't have to. You don't have to put on auto renew. You're welcome to just let the listing die out and not pay 20 cents on it anymore. Now, there is a transaction fee of 6.5% for each sale that you make on Etsy, and that recently increased. It was a little bit less. It's a lot. It may sound like a lot, but it's still nowhere near a $29 a month subscription fee that you would need to pay to Shopify. So back to our t-shirt analogy. We're going to list our t-shirt for $25 because we have shipping turned on. So we're going to collect that extra $5 from the customer, totaling $30 that is going to come into the account. So an order comes in, you get $30. $1.95 is going to go to Etsy. And let's go ahead and factor in the 20 cents for this first sale. Now, if you make another sale, that 20 cents is not there. You've already paid for the listing once. So that leaves us with a total profit of $27.85. Now let's minus our production costs with an actual individual profit of $4.85. But the second time you sell a shirt, you don't pay that 20-cent listing fee again. So you'll make $5.05. So it's not astronomically different from our Shopify analogy, other than the fact that you have to sell 5 shirts to warrant that $29 subscription fee. And again, you have to decide, do I want that extra dollar? So I raise my retail price on Etsy, knowing that there's going to be that processing fee that's included. Just remember though, the higher you go up, it's still 6.5% of that higher price. Now, I've thrown a lot of numbers at you, and this has been one singular example for one product for one production cost. And this formula may not work for every single product. I can give you that typical formula. It looks something like product cost plus fees plus taxes plus your design value plus profit margin equals your retail price. But honestly, you're going to change different amounts of profit margin for different products. And if you're not, I think at least you should. I would rarely recommend that you throw 50% profit margin on every single product, because I think that people just aren't going to pay a ton of money for a sticker. Or perhaps for ceramic mugs, it's maybe 20% profit margin, which is a little bit more realistic perhaps, because you can buy a ceramic mug for everywhere. Perhaps you can't buy one with that specific design. So there's some value pricing and some research you have to do to decide what you're going to sell that mug for. This all comes down to market research and researching the space that you want to sell in, looking at competitors and sellers selling the same items in the same style that you are. I believe that the number one key to being able to price your products effectively is actually branding. So shop branding, store branding. I was talking with Heather Johnson, one of our amazing collaborators and an Etsy bestseller, and she gave a fantastic breakdown of how she goes about listing her product that are in a competitive market, mentioning that consistent branding plays a major role in being able to charge a premium price for some of these products, as well as gaining repeat customers. If your shop is branded well and everything looks the part and your mock-ups or your listing photos look super professional, you have a much higher chance being able to scale up price and make more sales because of your professionalism and because of the way that you present your products. And of course, you need to be thinking about customer service and your attention to detail. All of these things factor into how you can perhaps scale your price over time. Now, this is a much larger journey than just adding profit margin to your price and sending it off to your shop. But remember, you're not going to win in the long term if you race to the bottom and start selling your products at such a low price. Oftentimes, users or customers attribute weak or less quality with products that are priced so low. So all of these factors need to go into what you're going to decide to use as that retail price. And only with consistent research and trial and error are you going to gain victory with pricing your products. Now, of course, if you're struggling to create beautiful designs to sell in the print-on-demand world, I implore you to use Kittl. It will change your life. You can use the link down in the description to sign up for free. We have thousands of templates. We have everything you need, from fonts, illustrations. We even have AI for you to be able to craft custom prompt images and even logos in Kittl to use for your product. So again, you can use the link down in the description to get started for free. And I have hundreds of videos actually showing you how to create different designs, not to mention our amazing collaborators that are teaching you how to use Kittl on YouTube as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to Kittl and hit the thumbs up button. And now what I want you to do is comment below if you thought of something, or if I mentioned something that you don't quite understand or you want more detail on. Please comment down below so that I can answer that question or perhaps make a whole nother video on it. So I hope this has been helpful for you in your pricing journey in print on demand, and I would love to know that as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.